Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, Stella Roast Fine. Today I will be talking about the ego, the shadow, all of the delightfully dark and exciting aspects of ourselves that we tend to shy away from. And I will be talking about spiritual bypassing as well, which is essentially the act of it's quite an interesting one, spiritual bypassing. You can't really sum it up in one sentence, but it's where you you're bypassing, or you bypass a certain aspect of yourself or a certain aspect of creation, of existence, of all that is, in order to reach, I suppose, a goal or a destination. And it's interesting because you see many people do it and it seems to work. But there is this need when we are, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because I'm trying to explain something without actually explaining anything. So when we are on a spiritual path, and we are all spiritual beings, even if we do not believe in spirituality, so we're all on that path in our own way, in our own journey, with different names and different expressions. But when we become aware and are conscious of that path and start to work towards healing and start to work towards spiritual enlightenment, or conscious awareness, we can get really drawn to the light of it. We can see those who are living in a beautiful spiritually aligned life, and work towards that and see the light and the beauty and the love and the compassion and the abundance and the celebration and the connection. And in ourselves, we fall in love with that beautiful light aspect within ourselves, the laughter and the joy, and we heal the parts that hurt in order to bring things to the light. And it's always this conversation and this concept of transmuting the dark into the light. It is releasing the dark into the light, bringing the darkness into the light. And I hate to break it to you, but we are not light beings. We are both light and dark beings, especially in our physical human form. I cannot speak for what we are in the spiritual realm, for I am still learning more and more about that every single day. I have my own theories, but in terms of the physical human form, we are both light and dark. We are both the high frequency and the low frequency energies come together. That is what planet Earth is all about. It is a planet of duality, of polarity. It is a planet of balance. You cannot have light without darkness. You cannot have darkness without light. You cannot have happiness without sadness. You cannot have joy without pain. You cannot have harmony and peace without chaos and discord. You need both. And so, even if you look at, you cannot have life without the masculine and the feminine. If we were all just female, We require the masculine body to create life and the feminine body to create life. And I'm I'm LGBT, and I'm very spiritual and like all accepting and all of that. So this is not me saying like you have to be attracted to the opposite sex. That's definitely not where I'm coming from. I'm talking about the energies. But if you look at the physical embodiment, you can see that that expression of balance in the way that we create life. So because of that, if we're constantly looking at the dark from a place of light, and if we're constantly looking at the dark as something to be transmuted, the shadow as something to be healed, as something to be rejected, or for those who are aware that rejection does not serve, that I will get to that in a minute, or to be like brought into the light, then we're not honoring the shadow and the darkness for what it is. In order for it to truly be brought into the light, for it to be seen, we first need to honor it for what it is: the dark, the shadow, the sticky, the death, the pain. And acknowledge that and see that and feel it. Even when we bring it to the light, we're not trying to change it. We are simply illuminating it. We are simply bringing awareness and attention to it. That is what the shadow is. The dark, it is simply hidden. It is unconscious. So when we bring it to the light, we are not trying to change it. We're simply becoming aware of it. And through that process, you can integrate, and by becoming aware of it and truly experiencing it, you're no longer attaching to it. And just like the way that we breathe in and we breathe out. We do not hold on to anything. We breathe in and we breathe out. And it's through holding on to the shadow as an unconscious thing that it becomes painful. But when we bring it, illuminate it as it is, and not trying to change it into something it isn't, or bringing it into what we believe it should be, but actually acknowledging and appreciating it for what it simply is, we are able to let it go. And then it will come back, and then let it go, just like the flow of breath. And the same with the light. Not attaching to one story or one aspect, but simply breathing it in and letting it go. When we bring it to the light, we no longer need to hold on to it. So that is what the shadow is. It is the hidden. It is the unconscious. We have associated the phrase darkness, shadow, negative to those, lower frequencies. The ones that cause not so pleasant sensations and experiences. But it's simply just a different frequency. It is a different aspect that is necessary in order for us to be here. However, and this is where people get confused, the shadow is necessary, But what can happen when we attach and when the energies become distorted and imbalanced? And this is what happens during spiritual bypassing and in other experiences as well, especially mental health illness. If you've ever experienced a mental health disorder or a mental health illness, that is a distorted and imbalanced energy. That is holding on to something that truly desires to just be let go. And we've talked, I'm sure you've heard of the phrase the ego. And the ego is the aspect of us that we need to survive on the human plane. It is the aspect of us that protects us. The one that holds the fear, the one that wants to control, the human part of us. And I'm sure you've probably heard many times that we need to rid ourselves of the ego, or that the ego should die, or that we wish our ultimate state is to be egoless. But I just want to remind you of something. When we are not human, we are egoless, for the ego is human. So when we come to this planet to be human, when we try to kill the very thing that makes us human, we are rejecting a vital part of ourselves. We are not supposed to be at war with the ego, but to live harmoniously beside it, with it, as it, integrated into our very being as a human being. We are a soul having a human experience. So when we try to kill the very thing that makes us human, why would we come here in the first place? Anyway, so as I was saying about the ego, mental health is that ego attaching to lower frequencies that aren't serving us because they've become distorted. It's the shadow, which is then being hidden because we've been conditioned to believe that our shadow self is not worthy of being seen, of being heard, of being honoured and appreciated. It's not a vital part of us, which is just incredibly untrue. And because we can't see it, we're attaching to it. We don't know how to let it go. We don't know how to let it move on the way that we allow breath to flow, because we can't see it. And instead of knowing, being taught or being guided to see it, we're simply guided to put a band-aid over it and hide the symptoms, or fix the symptoms, or heal the symptoms. But we're not actually seeing the shadow, the unconscious part that is attaching, that as soon as it comes to the light can be breathed on and breathed in again and breathed out again. When it becomes illuminated, yes, it's still the yang or the yin, it's still that the different frequencies, it's still anger, it's still pain, it's still sadness, it's still dark, but it's seen, it can be felt, acknowledged and appreciated, and let go, and then it come back and let go. And that's what life is. That's what breath is, the life force of humanity, of everything on this planet. Breathing it in, breathing it out. We breathe it in, we feel it, it fills our body with everything that we need, and then we breathe it out, and it's gone, and we breathe it in again. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we don't want to get rid of anything. We also don't want to hold on to anything, but to simply allow to illuminate that shadow, not to transmute it into light, because the shadow is shadow for a reason. We want the shadow. We need the shadow to exist, to survive. It is the lower, denser energies, the energies of the human realm, of planet Earth, of this dimension, of the physical dimension. It is the night. It is the unknown. It's not necessarily bad. It is the death, but the death brings in life. Just like death understands that it's not meant to stick around, because new life comes in. That's the shadow. However, when we distort the shadow, when we attach to the shadow, when we associate who we are as the shadow or the light, then we're not letting things move on. And if we associate ourselves to just the shadow and attach to that and believe that we are that energy, that we are that emotion, there's a lot of pain in that, and the energies can become distorted. I can't remember who said this, but I really like the quote that there is no light and there is no evil. Evil is in human intent. There is no evil. There is no good. It is all in our intentions. Now, of course, and this is the thing, if something feels good and we like that feeling, then we can totally call in more of it. That's all that we are doing when we are manifesting, when we are connecting to those higher frequencies. We're simply connecting to something that we go, oh, that feels kind of good. I like the feeling of that. And we're calling more of that in. But allowing it in, allowing it out, allowing it in, allowing it out, because attaching to the light can be just as damaging as attaching to the dark. And that is what spiritual bypassing is when you attach to that light and you just you reject, you ignore the aspect of you that is dark, that is shadow, that is either unconscious and subconscious and unseen, because there is always that subconscious aspect of you, unconscious aspect of you, as long as you're human. But it's also just your humanness. It's also just the other side of the moon. It is the other side of the yin and the yang. It is the balance. And we need that. This planet needs that. Without death, there cannot be life. If nothing dies, then nothing can grow. It's like the chicken and the egg, which comes first? But without one, you can't have the other. Both cease to exist. And that's like that phrase, I don't know if you've heard that saying, we are everything and we are nothing. We are the light and we are the shadow. The shadow, the unknown, the pure potential, the void. There is nothing. Absolutely nothing in that energy except pure potential, because where there is nothing, there is a potential for anything. And we are the light which is in all of us, which is in everything. We are everything and we are nothing. But if we just attach to the idea that we are nothing or that we are everything, and that those two ideas are separate, then we are missing a vital part of who we are. We are missing a vital part of being. The universe, not just planet Earth. If we go beyond planet Earth, beyond the physical realm, there is still that light and that shadow, the everything and the nothing. Without one, you cannot have the other. So when we attach to one, we are rejecting a vital part of the universe. And actually, we are rejecting both, because you cannot attach to one and not the other. So when you are attaching to one, you think you're only attaching to one. By rejecting the other, you are rejecting both. And by attaching to one, you are attaching to each one, but as separate things. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but the light and the shadow, just like yin and yang makes the whole, the light and the shadow is the same, one and the same. They are not separate but connected. They are of the same energy but different expressions of that energy that is created, used to create the whole of who we are, of existence. Oof. Cannot have one without the other. And so if you're ever exploring the shadow, sorry guys, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I channel. And so when I'm talking, sometimes not sometimes, when I'm talking about these things, I'm connected in. So if I seem like I'm a bit, well, it's because I'm saying it's just as it's important for the shadow and the light, it's also important to be connected to the divine and grounded. As humans, being grounded to this planet because we are a part of it. So when I'm channeling, it's very important to remain grounded. Anyway, so going back to what I was the reason that this entire conversation came up is because no, I don't need to say it's because when we are attaching to one aspect, and usually we attach to the light and unconsciously and unknowingly, we are attaching to the dark as well, separately. Yeah, just to clarify, like when we don't want to attach to either, we just let both in and out. And so when we attach to one, we attach to both, but at the same time, we're also rejecting both. I know that's a bit of a strange paradox, but the universe is a paradox, which is not really, it all makes perfect sense. But if we try to understand it and comprehend it with the logical human mind alone, once again rejecting an aspect of ourselves, which is the spiritual aspect, the consciousness, the subconscious, then we are obviously not going to be able to comprehend something that requires both aspects to comprehend it. And of course it's the universe. I'm not saying I know everything, I definitely do not. In fact, I was given an experience the other day that reminded me that I know nothing. None of us know anything. We have our own truths. And the universe has its truth. And we're tapped into that truth, but we don't necessarily know what it is. We just operate from it because that's the truth of the universe. But we have our own truth. And I'm not going to go into this too much because I could just go on and on and on. But there is that theory that we are the universe. And so our truth is the truth. But that's getting a little bit too for this video, especially because these are big messages, so let's just try and keep it nice and contained as much as we can, talking about the universe. But yeah, so what I wanted to say is that when we are attaching to one and not the other, and usually we attach to light and we reject that darkness, then things of darkness can be triggering or upsetting or scary even, and there is this distorted energy once again, and of course it's going to be scary if we have rejected it. When we actually bring awareness to it and we bring it into the light, we can see it for its beauty. And I'm going to share a wee story that I have that happened a while ago, because it's just the coolest story ever and I love it. I went for a walk one time, and I went for a walk because I was told that a tree wanted to speak to me. Now that might sound a little woo-woo for some people. If this doesn't resonate, that's okay, just take what does resonate. I'm sharing the story because of the message I received. If you don't believe that you can speak to the nature beings, then that is completely fine. But yes, a tree wanted to speak with me. And so I went for a walk. And so I went for a walk. Sorry, I thought I heard something. I went for a walk, and instead of finding a tree, I found a tree that led me to a rock. So I sat with the rock and I meditated with the rock, and I was like, all right, come on in, like, let's have a chat. I'm not very, oh, sorry, I feel like I'm going to say this. I'm not very professional when it comes to my meditations, so it's all very casual and informal. It's like, come on in, like, come on, I'm ready to speak. And so we had a wee chat, and he essentially, this rock spirit, came in and told me, and I love this. Okay, so it told me it is love because it is a rock. Because it is a rock, because it doesn't try to be anything but what it is, which is a rock, that it is a pure expression and a pure form of love. That even though people may look at a rock and not see much more to it than a rock, you know, and a rock is quite cold and would be perceived as lifeless to many, and harsh and angular, and it's definitely one of the less like light and, you know, light energy beings. And it's not a bad thing in any way. So it was interesting when it came and it said, I am still love because I am a rock, because I don't try to be anything else, and because I simply am. And what it was saying is, through simply existing and in alignment and being who it is, it like I said, when you look at the shadow not from the eyes of light, looking at it being like, I have to change it, I have to fix it, I have to make it better, I have to transmute it into something that it's not. Instead, look at it as if you would look at the rock from the eyes of love, like, see it as it is. You see the shadow for what it is, which is also, in its own way, an expression of love. And so when we attach to the light and we look at the shadow from that aspect, it can seem scary, but when we meet the shadow and see it as it simply is, without expectations, attachments, and the need for anything to be different, and just allowing the shadow to simply be, then it's not scary. Or it is, but that's okay, it's okay, it's allowed to be scary. But it's not distorted anymore, and it simply is what it is. And honoring that and recognizing that we have that within us and that we can actually connect with that, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. And that's where exploring the dark divinity comes in, and that's where I've been at the moment, exploring that dark divinity, that sacred sexuality, the warrior archetypes, and the more sort of energies, seeing it for what it is. And I'm not saying that I do. I mean, it's so easy to be like, oh my god, I feel awful today, and want to bring out, you know, get rid of that. Or, for example, I've had past energies come up over the last couple of days, and I'm like, no, how do I get rid of this? Like, go away. And then last night, I was sitting there, and I was like, wait a fucking minute. I'm sad right now. I'm actually sad, and I'm a little heartbroken still, and wow, have I just like not let myself be that. And that is another way, because of course all of the things that I've talked about is very philosophical and metaphorical, well, not metaphorical, but it's very like macro, right? And microcosm and microcosm, and we're talking on the macro scale, and that's amazing, but it's so easy. It is so easy to comprehend it in that way when it's not attached to you. But then when you bring it back to yourself and you look at your own shadow and it's like, I can't really sit here with this, that is where the true journey lies. But when you can, and it is actually safe to sit with the shadow and allow the shadow to be, of course, implementing the breathing, allowing it, and then letting it go. It's the attachment that is not serving, the control and the attachment that creates those distorted energies. But if you can just allow yourself to just be with that energy, to just feel it, to just, well, here it is, and I'm feeling it, and that is okay, because that is a part of who I am. Not necessarily the emotion, don't attach to the emotion or the story, but the fact that you are able to feel this frequency means this frequency is within you. Means that we are the light and the shadow, and it's okay to be both. Not only is it okay, it's the only way. And it's beautiful. And it's so incredibly beautiful. And it's through that pain that if we just allow ourselves to move through, can bring in deep healing. And because of that pain, we are able to experience joy, love, laughter. Pain is not necessarily the greatest experience. Heartache, heartbreak, hurt, grief, sadness, anger, they're not emotions that we particularly love to experience. But if we can learn to love them in their own way, be with them, and acknowledge and honor that that is there, allow ourselves to move through them, then we can also experience the good stuff too. Good. The stuff that makes us feel yummy. But we can't have one without the other, and they're both just as beautiful. And that was a big, big thing to learn. When you look at nature, sorry, I'm almost finished. I know this has turned into a very long video. But when you look at nature, yes, a volcano erupting, or a hurricane, or an earthquake is devastating. But I don't think we look at it and see it as any less beautiful. In fact, I think we fucking respect it. It's like, whoa, nature is fucking powerful, and I am not going to, like, I do not think, and like, you know, it's very humbling. Puts us in our place. Like, nature is very powerful. But we look at it and we go, wow, that is a part of nature. We understand it. We understand that that is a part of nature. And it is also beautiful. And yes, it can be devastating, but it is also beautiful. And then we can look at the beautiful rainbows and the sunshine. But if we have all that all the time, like, the flowers would die, the plants would die, we'd have no crops. We need the rain, we need the all of it. Even the things that we may not think we need as well. Everything has its place. Anyway, this has turned into a very, very long video, and it went a little bit like this, but I love videos that do that. I've had so much fun talking about this. I had no idea what I was going to say when I turned on the recording button. I just knew I wanted to talk to the camera. So here we are. I hope you guys have enjoyed this wee chat and resonated with some of what it says and have gained some insight and valuable, I guess, anything really. Like, even if what I said triggered you, or if you didn't agree with literally anything that I said, even that is still a learning experience to take away from, because you can use that to explore what it was that triggered you, or what do you believe, and yeah, anyway, I love speaking with people and sharing things, because no matter how other people respond and react, there is this amazing exchange that happens where we are sharing an energy. And just like I am taking away something amazing from this experience, even though it may have seemed like I was the one giving through speaking, I'm very much receiving at the same time. Even if you don't feel like you gained something, there will be something there that you have received. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I do hope this has given you some, even just a fun wee video or whatever. And I will talk with you all soon. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Oh, and of course, please like, comment, and subscribe if you feel called to do so. I forget to say that almost every single video. But yes, please do so if you do feel called, because it is an amazing way to support this channel, and also, more importantly, get messages out there that could really help people and bring guidance and insight to places that need it, and illumination too, because like I said in this video many times, illumination is very important. So yeah, bye, have a good day.